Hello, everyone. My name is Salustino Wong. I'm a Cuban born in Havana. In 1995, I went to China to study Chinese medicine. I spent 20 years in China, which 13 years I was at the Chinese Medicine University of Nanjing, where I met my teacher, my mentor, Professor Huang, and have the opportunity to take part in this school of thought that is the Longshan School that belongs to the Jingfang School. Today, I will speak about a little bit about the importance of studying Jingfang if you want to study the prescriptions of Chinese medicine, the herbal prescription of Chinese medicine. How important it is to study Jingfang to know the modification of these prescriptions. I will speak about a little bit of history, and then in the end, I will speak about the formulas and structures and why it's so important to know different things of the formulas. I will explain after. Due to the time that we have in this conference, we cannot really go in depth. So sorry in advance for that. Want to really express my gratitude to Dr. Gatto to invite me to this International Congress of Acupuncture. I'm really honored for it. It's a great opportunity. So more or less in Han Dynasty is this dynasty that you see here. In Han Dynasty, which was 200 years before Jesus Christ, 200 years after Jesus Christ, more or less, at that time, 400 years. At that time, Chinese medicine reached the pinnacle of the science of Chinese level, reached the pinnacle. Because at that time, they compiled all what they did in prior dynasties. So it was a huge compilation of knowledge that easily wrote the most important concepts and the most important knowledge of our medicine. In Han Dynasty were written books like Shenrong Pen Cao Jing, Huan Di Jing, the Nanjing, and what we consider is the most important book in Chinese medicine, which is the Shanghan Zha Ping, the most important for clinical work, of course, and for internal medicine. After, in Tang Dynasty, or till from Han Dynasty to Tang Dynasty, it was also a period of compilation of information of what were lost in Han Dynasty, because sadly, all the books from Han Dynasty, all those compilations were lost. We have here the four main schools that exist at that time in Han Dynasty. We have the I Ching, which is not related to the I Ching, the Book of Change, is the I Ching, the medical classics, which is related to Huan Di Jing. We have the Jingfang, which is more related to a book that is called Tang Ye Jing, the Jingfang. We have the Shenxian, which is a more, it was related to shamanic methods and method to prolong life and eventually to become immortal. Xian in Chinese means immortal. And we have the Fang Shu, which is the book that was specialized in the art of the chamber, the art of sex, and how to use sex to become healthier and eventually to reach immortality. And with time, the only two schools that remain official Chinese medicine was the I Ching and the Jingfang school. And these two schools were the unique schools, the only schools that we have till Tang Dynasty. After in Song Dynasty and after Song Dynasty, many schools flourished up and it divides in many branches. Today we have a lot of schools, but if we want to study Chinese medicine, we believe that we have to go back to Han Dynasty, and we have to go back to these two main schools, the Yijing school and the Jingfang school. Jingfang, Professor Huang Huan always said that Jingfang, these formulas are the more frequent formulas, the more experienced formulas, because they have been used for 2,000 years. So there is a proof that they work, that there is 2,000 years, sorry, 2,000 years to test this formula. So to those formulas we call classical formulas. So this is the meaning of Jingfang. The author of those formulas, or the person, the doctor that did that compilation of formulas, was Zhang Zhongjing. Zhang Zhongjing, let's say that for us is the most important figure in Chinese medicine history. He wrote what we know today as the Shanghan Zabin Lu. He wrote that book, but sadly that book was lost. And posterior authors rewrote or compiled those information. And today we have two books that, let's say, resume what was the original Shanghan Zabin Lu, which are the Shanghan Lu and the Jinghui Yaoyue. The sources that Zhang Zhongjing used was the Dangye Jing, the Shenrong Bensao Jing, and the Huangdi Jing. We believe that these three were the main sources. Even that some people, some doctors today believe that he didn't use Huangdi Jing because there were two completely different schools. The school, because Huangdi Jing belongs to the Yijing school and not to the Jingfang school. But I think that because in the book, in the Shanghan Lu and Jinghui Yaoyue, you can see many sentences that are very similar to Huangdi Jing sentences. And Huangdi Jing was a book that was written prior to the Shanghan Zabin Lu for sure. These are Song Dynasty, the most important doctors that belong to this line of Jingfang or classical formulas. Wang Shuhe here is the main character because thanks to him we have today the book, because he was the first to compile this information, and he, in some way, he maybe saved the book. At that time, we have a lot of wars, a lot of disasters, and maybe the book that originally Zhang Zhongjing wrote was burned or was lost in those wars. Thanks to Wang Shuhe of his work, we today have that book. Then we have different very important doctors like Dao Hongqing, who was the first to say again the Shenrong Bensao Jing. Today we have the Shenrong Bensao Jing, the oldest pharmacopoeia that exists today, was saved by Dao Hongqing. Dao Hongqing wrote also a book, or his students wrote a book that is believed that was part of the Dangye Jing, a book that today is lost also. And that book was called, or today is called, the Fu Xin Jue. Today we have a version of the Fu Xin Jue, but it's maybe that is not the original text of the Fu Xin Jue. It's a discussion about that. Sun Xiemiao also was a very important person. He was the first to compile the formulas of the Shanghan Lu. The first to compile that we today have today, because the book that compiled Wang Shuhe, today we don't have that book. That book was lost also. So the more early, let's say, formulas from the Shanghan Zabin Lu that we have today are in the second book that brought Sun Xiemiao. And from where Sun Xiemiao took these formulas? From a place that was called, or is called, the Jiangnan. And Jiangnan, that place is, maybe this place is the place where our school of thought, the Longsha school, belongs. Then you have Sishu Wei. Sishu Wei is a very important figure for us because Sishu Wei was an important doctor that wrote the first book in the history of Chinese medicine, that was about clinical cases. And this book just used the Jingfang formulas, the formulas of Zhang Zhongjing. Sishu Wei also developed that his medical skills in the Jiangnan region, which have a huge impact in posterior doctors, and till today is a very important figure for us. Then you have Chen Wuji. Chen Wuji was the first one to explain the Shanghan Zabun, to explain the Shanghan Lun according to the Huang Di Neji. So it's a very important figure also. This is Wang Shuhe, a picture of him. Here we have Tao Hongjing. He have this clothes like a Taoist because he was an alchemist, a Taoist that also lived in the Jiangnan region, specific in the Maoshan. This is Sishu Wei. The region that I'm talking about is this region that is here. This is Nanjing here. And this region here is first, this what you see here is a river, and all that is south to this river is called the Jiangnan. The Jiangnan, which means south to that river. And this region all was very important for the development of the Jingfang school, for the development of the formulas from Shanghai. And this was the region where Sun Xiemiao took his the formulas to make his second book, that part of the Shanghai. In this region here, specific here, was the place where Sishu Wei, that doctor for this clinical cases book, lived. This Jiangyin, a very important region, where Longsha Bai developed, Longsha school. Today we call to all that tradition, we call today Longsha school. It doesn't mean that before it was called Longsha school. This is a name that we give today, but we know today that that all develop of the Jingfang in this region have the same origin, that is comes from Sishu Wei. These are some of the most let's say the more prominent doctors of that region. Doctors are so famous, like this Cao Yunfu, Zhu Xinong, Chen Dangnan, that have a huge influence in all the Jingfang development, all the prescription art development. Tang Yunxian was one of the four most important female doctors in China, was from that region also. Today we have Professor Huang Huan here, Xia Guichen and Xu Fusong, that are still are teachers in our school. Ye Bingren here is the master of my teacher, Professor Huang Huan. Xia Guichen is also a very important figure. He was the one who developed the four stage of to treat in menstrual diseases. He's a very, let's say, the most prominent gynecologist in Chinese medicine today in our specialty in Chinese medicine in China. Jingfang is easiest way to learn formula preparation. There is no more easy way to learn formula preparation than Jingfang, because it uses very few herbs. This is one of the reasons. You don't have to learn 500 herbs. With a few herbs, you can make most of your formulas. They also use very few formulas. We use around 50 formulas commonly, but in all together there are 178 formulas. Around 90% of the formulas have less than 7 ingredients, so it's very easy to learn them. Also, all these formulas, the 178 formulas, they all belong to the same book, so all of them have the same logic. So it's very easy to learn, and it's very easy to use. Because the problem of when you study in TCN, in our textbook at university, you study the formula prescription. The problem is that they come from many different schools. After Song Dynasty, a lot of schools came up, and they develop in other schools, many branches. So many of those schools, they produce new formulas. So when you study those formulas, they don't have really a relation between them, So it doesn't mean that they are no good formulas, but they are not very effective formulas. But to start to study, I think that these are the best formulas to start to study. Also, the modification and combination of herbals and formulas, they all have the same logic in Jingfang prescriptions. So this is why you should study Jingfang. Also, I have to note also that formula prescriptions are 85% more or less of all literature in Chinese medicine. So if you don't study Chinese formula prescription, you're losing 85% of all the theory and all the literature of Chinese medicine. Most of the theory that is used today in acupuncture, it comes from formula prescription art. So you need to study formula prescription for sure. To study the formula prescription, you need to study the syndrome of the formula, that are the signs and symptoms that belong to that formula. Also, the structure of the formulas are very important. Combination between the herbs and the formulas, you have to study that, and I will very simple form, I will explain that. The dosage of each herb, you have to know that, because when you change the dosage of one herb in your prescription, these have another purpose. This formula have another action, and this formula have another name also. If he changes the quantity of one herb, that is another formula. The form of preparation also is very important. How to do that, and finally the modifications. Only studying Jingfang, you will study the root of all modifications in formula prescription in Chinese medicine. So now I will very simple just explain a formula, which is Huichidan. Here. Whichidan is by far the most important formula in our system. This is what I think to study Jingfang and to study formula prescription, you have to start with Huichidan. So in many books you will see that all starts with Huichidan because it's a very important formula. But Huichidan, you can see this is how we study. We have to see the structure of Huichidan. Let's see, just see here. 灰质、白芍、生姜、甘草、大枣。The measure that they used in Han Dynasty was the liang. It was one of the measures. Doesn't matter now how much was one liang. Doesn't matter. But let's say that which have 3 liang, 白芍 3 liang, 生姜 3 liang, 甘草 2 liang, and 大枣 are 2 fruits. If we analyze this formula, we have almost we have two formulas. One is called Quichi cancel, and the other is Paishao cancel. In Paishao cancel down, let's talk first on Paishao cancel down. We have mainly we have spontaneous sweating. We have vexation, heat, heart vexation. We have polyuria, and we have spasm of the legs. So, seeing these three symptoms, we can see that all the liquids are escaping. The yang is escaping. The fire is escaping when we have the heart pulsation. We have with the yang is trying to escape with all the sweat. So we are losing a lot of liquids. We are losing our yang, and this makes that the muscles have no nutrition, have no liquids to nourish them, so they will get spasm. So Paishao, that is a sour herb, Paishao will, he will take in all these liquids again. And at the same time, when you combine Paishao with Kansao, that is sweet, sweet, it will nourish the liquids that you are using. So it will nourish the liquids, it will nourish the wood elements. So let's say that it tonifies in some way, tonify the yin. Which cancel down, which is a pungent warm, very pungent, very warm. And pungent and warm will specifically, which will tonify the yang of the heart. Okay, it will tonify the yang of the heart. When you put a pungent herb with a sweet herb, then you are tonifying the yang. In this formula, which you can sort out, we have a person with a deficiency of yang. The person will try to press his chest, press the chest. Why? Because there is a deficiency. There is a tendency to sweating, tendency to sweat. Also, this person will have palpitations. So this is two different formulas. Here, which is for liang, Kansao is to liang. Paishao is for liang, Kansao is for liang. So you can see here, here is tu liang, Kansao, here is for liang, Kansao. So here is needed more yin, more liquids. Kansao will replenish those liquids. Very interesting. Now we have already here two formulas. You already learned two formulas. Kuchi Kansao Dan, tonifying yang of the heart. Paishao Kansao Dan, nourish the liquids and stopping the liquids from being loose. You already learned that. This is very easy. This is very easy. So if we go back to our formula, we can see that here we have the same combination. So we have the same combination here. Paishao Kansao Dan, which Kansao Dan, so which Kansao Dan. So for sure, this Quichitan formula will do more or less the same. We do more or less the same. Because in Quichitan, we have a person that also have a tendency to sweat, have palpitation. Just in this formula, we have abnormal urination. So maybe you will go to pee a lot. You will go many times, but every time that you go to pee, you pee so just a little bit. And this is because there is an sparks also there. there is an spasm also there. So maybe there is a difficulty urination, or or you go many times, in which then you can have that. So this person also is a deficiency of yang in general. Shenjiang is the ginger, fresh ginger. Shenjiang, what does here? Shenjiang is a pungent herb that goes into the earth, and it will distribute all the liquids and the nutritive that Bai Shao, Gan Shao, and Ta Shao are building up in the earth. So he goes from, let's put it here, he goes from the earth position here, this is the earth, to the metal and the heart. So this is the fire, this is the metal, lung, and this is the. So Shenjiang just go in here, and it's a pungent herb, so this tonifies the wood. So it will get into here and then distribute all this nutritive to the heart and to the lung. That's how is a fruit that is sticky, and it produces very dense nutritive liquids that it will nourish the nutritive energy. So another thing that we have in our Longshire school, and it was developed by Professor Juan, is the Constitution. The Constitution of a Hui-Chitan person will be a person that is very thin, because it's losing too many yin, so this person is very thin. Because it has a deficiency of yang, this person won't be outspoken, he will be very introvert. This person, because not have a very strong yang, also will have a lot of fears. He will not be very courageous. So also this person have a tendency to forget things. The Shen doesn't arrive. The Shen doesn't arrive to the surface. The Yang doesn't arrive to the surface. So he have not many contact with the stereo world. So he will forget things, or he will have a difficulty to learn. So Hui-Chitan will move also the blood. Will move the blood, tonifying the Yang of the heart. So it's a good formula also for learning. Hui-Chitan normally is used also for heart diseases, because it affects the yang of the heart. So if we, for example, increase the quantity of Bai Shao, just Bai Shao, to 6 liang, now this is another formula with another kind of function. If we have Hui-Chitan, where I increase this Shaoyao to 6, then this formula is called Hui-Zhi Jia Shaoyao Tang. And now this formula is not used anymore like the first formula to defend the outside, to take the yang to the outside, and to keep the liquids inside the body. Now these liquids are kept in the middle, because now we have six yang of Shaoyao, so all the liquids will stay in the center. Why? Because now you are having spastic pain in your epigastrium, the epigastrium. So because you have this spastic pain in the epigastrium, now we have to increase Shaoyao. This is what the original test said. So from that we learned that first that Shaoyao normally is used for spastic pain. Second, the Shaoyao is used for abdominal pain, mainly for abdominal pain, abdominal spastic pain. Third, that when I increase Shaoyao, it will keep all the liquids in the center, in the earth. Fourth, that if I increase the Shaoyao, then I have another formula, and the function of the formula is completely different. We can go on, but due to the time limit, we cannot continue explaining this. If we continue explaining, then we can study all these formulas. And all these formulas comes from Wichita. This is the center of all these formulas. You see how many formulas you have there? A lot. And it's very easy to learn them. It's very easy to use them also if you study Jingfang. I hope that my speech was interesting for you. If you want, you can contact me and discuss forward. I hope that also I inspire you to study Jingfang. Thanks a lot for your attention. Thanks a lot for the organizers. Again, my speech is finished. Thanks.